Your Money. Brought to you by the Welch Group.
We know that Alzheimer's is a disease that affects millions and can cause challenges for families, but how can people prepare, especially legally, if they know a loved one is facing this challenge right now? So that's why we're talking again with Marshall Clay about this. You know, something that, of course, is a health condition, but it affects you in multiple ways, and, of course, there are some legal implications.
Yeah, this is a tough one, and unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately, I deal with, hundreds of different client families, and I'm starting to see this a lot more in my practice, and so we obviously try to get ahead of this dynamic with a lot of our clients, but I think it really starts off, or the first step in this dynamic is making sure that you've got your team together, right? Obviously, I'm biased towards the financial planners, but financial planners are a big part, play a huge role in this as far as getting people organized and getting a lot of these things together. But having your financial planner chosen, having attorneys, accountants, and really a lot of times at least starting the conversation around healthcare providers, right? Do you have the resources to have in-home care? Are you looking to some third party or some sort of assisted living facility if that's an option for folks? At least starting to have that conversation so that you can really abide by those person's wishes when they start experiencing this cognitive decline. I think that's really important. And the second thing is just getting organized, right? I think that's where the financial planner really comes in, where they can help you inventory all of the assets that you have, whether it be bank account assets, investments, real estate, really document those things in a nice, well, clean-cut financial statement. I think that's important. Inventorying the personal information when we talk about passwords and cell phone access. Those are the things that are often overlooked, right? Where if you have a family member who's experiencing this decline, you don't know the passwords, you don't understand how to get in their phone, things like that can be very important. So kind of having that information. And then obviously the financial information, whether it be credit cards or insurance policies, understanding all that. All of this plays a big vital role in terms of making sure that their finances are in good order. And then obviously the healthcare information. I think this is one where I see a lot of people overlooking the medications and names of healthcare providers, doctors, right? You want to be able to really get in contact with those providers when you start seeing this decline in a family member. So having those things is really important. And then the last thing is to make sure that your legal documents are up to date, updating those estate documents, the wills, the powers of attorney, the healthcare directives, because once you start going down this road of cognitive decline, a lot of times your optionality as far as changing those things is prohibited, right? Once you get too far gone, the law will not allow you to change these documents. So whatever you have is sort of set in stone. So making sure you're getting ahead of that and that your wishes are actually on paper in a legal document is very important. And the last thing I'll mention is don't forget those beneficiary designations. So these apply to the 401ks, the IRAs, the insurance policies, making sure that in the event that you get to this point, that those things are locked in as well, because you may have this beautiful estate plan with wills that say all the right things, but then if your beneficiary designations say something completely different, it almost renders that will meaningless or useless. So making sure those things are sort of in line is very, very important.
Yeah, so getting all this stuff together and making sure it's organized, like you said. And then next week, we'll talk a little bit more about more into the financial implications.
Absolutely, yeah, we're going to get more into the financial, but I think the first thing is just getting all those legal steps taken care of. That's what a lot of our viewers can really control. Getting that stuff in good order is the very first step, and then there's some more complicated steps that we'll talk about next week as far as the financial.
All right, sounds good. Some really good advice, Marshall. Appreciate that. Again, for more Your Money tips, you can go to our website, WAFF.com, or you can watch us here every Tuesday at 4 p.m.